to another episode of How to Blog TV, where we empower bloggers. In today's episode, I'm going to actually walk you through a screencast where we're going to purchase a domain and buy WordPress compatible hosting and then install WordPress with a one-click install at GoDaddy.com. In a future episode, I'll actually take you through an explanation of how we can buy a domain at a registrar like GoDaddy but point it to hosting at another provider. Let's go ahead and get started. In this first portion of our screencast, I'm going to go to GoDaddy.com's website, purchase a domain, purchase WordPress compatible hosting, and then set that hosting up. Okay, if you go to GoDaddy.com and log in with your user account, if you don't have one, you can create one at that site or call up their support professionals and they can create one for you. But what you'll do is once you log in, you can actually go search domain names and choose one that you'd like to buy. I'm going to search for the domain name How to Blog Lab. I'm going to type that into the dialog box and hit go, and it's going to tell me whether that's available or not. And there it is, howtobloglab.com for $10.69. I can purchase it. So I'll go ahead and add that to my shopping cart so that I can check out later with that. But before we go into checking out with the shopping cart, I've got to do one other thing, and that's buy WordPress compatible hosting. GoDaddy, under their web site hosting, actually has a WordPress hosting option, and that is hosting that's compatible with WordPress. So let's go into that and see what they have to offer. Once I select that, they've got three different plans: Economy, Deluxe, and Unlimited. For my usages, I'm going to go ahead and buy the Deluxe plan because that's going to allow me to do a couple of things that I need to do for this specific instance. But keep in mind, if you're just starting a blog, the Economy plan will probably work just fine for you. So once I select that, GoDaddy's notorious for offering you all kinds of upsell and other things, and we don't need any of that. All we need is a domain name and WordPress compatible hosting. So I'm going to say no thanks down here at the bottom. Okay, so as a part of their process, they're going to ask me to complete a couple of other things, and I'm going to go ahead and complete my domain purchase before I do this. And I've selected, they're going to default here for 5 years. Really all I need this for is a year, and I can always renew it. So we're going to do this, and we're not going to take any of their other options like private registration or certified domains, etc., because we really don't need that. Okay, so now that I've made this selection, what I need to do is come down here and finish the checkout process. So once again, I'm going to say no thanks to all the other things that they want to try to show me, and we're going to continue on. And this is going to take me to my final shopping cart. And as you'll see here, I've got a year of a domain registration as well as WordPress compatible hosting, and I've selected a year. Now, you can do this by the month, or there's a variety of options, and if you want to speak to one of their salespeople, call them up and they can walk you through which is best for you. Now that I've got my shopping cart the way that I want it, I'm going to select a checkout, and I have to check off a few boxes here to say that I've read all the rules and regulations in terms of service, etc. And now I'm going to finish this off by credit card. So that I'm not typing in my credit card information here, I'm going to go ahead and do that offline. And what I'll do is I'll get that in and put in my correct details and finish through that process. And you can see right here where we just make the payment and we're done. The next thing that we have to do is actually set up the hosting that we purchased, and it's really easy to do. So let's go through that now. Okay, if we go back to GoDaddy while we're logged in and go to My Products and select Hosting, we've actually just purchased hosting, and you're going to see down here that we've got a new hosting account. If I click on Set Up the Account, I can walk through this process. Now, we've got a little licensing agreement that we have to read here, and we can check that and hit Next. And now they're going to ask us a couple of questions. One, we have to create a username. So I'm going to go ahead and put a username in here that we're going to use as our administrative account for How to Blog Lab. And now the entire world knows that account. I'm going to have to go change that later. And then put in a secure password. I've put in a strong one. And we'll go on to the next step of the hosting setup. And basically what it wants to do is know what domain I'm going to install this under. And I'm going to install it under the domain that I just purchased, which is howtobloglab.com. I'll click Next. And now we've just got a few WordPress details. And we want to put in basically the name of our blog and an email address that's associated with the blog. And this is important because they will send passwords and other information to this. So I'll go ahead and complete this. And now we've also, it's selected PHP 5 for us, which is a technical detail, but that's a good thing for WordPress. And they'll ask about some add-ons or some other things that we might want to do. And we really don't need a secure certificate or anything to run a WordPress blog, especially not for a beginner one. And I'm going to click Next. And they're going to confirm everything that I've selected. And you can see my selections here. I'll click Finish. And we are pretty much done with configuring our hosting. And because this is GoDaddy's WordPress hosting option, what they're going to do is they're actually going to set up WordPress on the back end for us as well. So after we're complete with this, or finished with this step, we're done. It'll generally take about 15 minutes to a half an hour. They say it takes up to 24 hours, I think, is their terms of service. But generally within the hour, you'll see your WordPress blog set up, and we can get into the back end and start to do the things that we do in WordPress and begin to blog. I know we've been through a lot in this screencast, and so I want to offer some advice that as you go about the process of purchasing your domain, your hosting, and installing your WordPress blog, feel free to call the customer support at your hosting provider, such as GoDaddy, at any point during the process, because they're there to help you and they do this for a living. Thanks for joining us on this episode of How to Blog TV, and we look forward to seeing you on a future episode.